Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are here on another Wednesday evening. I'm Tommy.
And I'm Joe.
And this is ToJo Live.
Welcome to ToJo Live.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of ToJo Live. We are so glad to be with you here on another episode. We want to open up with a passage of scripture. I want to use Romans chapter 15, verse 13. It says this is one of my favorite passages of scripture. It says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." I love that passage of scripture because it refers to God as the God of hope. When we talk about hope in certain situations, or hope for the future, or hope in our circumstance, God is the God of hope, the one and only true God. He is the God of hope, and he will fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. So the more we trust in him, the more he will fill us with joy and peace. And the result of that is that we may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. And I love the way that Paul words that there, that we overflow with hope. You know what that says to me is he doesn't just fill us up, he overflows us so that hope begins to spill over onto other people. When you are overflowing with hope, you give other people hope. And I love that passage. I love that passage. Here's the quote for the evening. And I tried to find the source of this quote. I've known it for a long time, and several different places. I found about 3 or 4 different people that it was contributed to, and but most of them just said unknown. So we're going to go with unknown. But this is the quote: "When the world says give up, hope whispers, try it one more time."
Mm.
That is powerful. That is powerful stuff, folks. And whenever you are in a situation where you want to give up, if you want to give up on a job, if you want to give up in your relationship, if you want to give up in your faith, if you want to give up as far as your life goes, hope is whispering to you, try it one more time. Give it one more try. You never know what's going to happen. I love it. I love it. Joe, how are you this evening, my friend?
Brother, I'm great. It's good to be here again on a Wednesday night. I know we've got a special guest tonight we're going to introduce shortly. But I love that quote. I love it.
Yeah.
The Bible verse as well, because it's so true. And I think one of the things that really rings home to me is that, hope, when it overflows, it's contagious. And when you're positive, that's contagious. And
Yes.
Unfortunately, when you're negative, that is too. So I love when Paul says that, that your hope will overflow. It means so much to me. I've tried to, I'll be walking down the hall at work and someone will say to me, "Hey, Joe, how you doing?" And I'll say, "Fantastic." And people kind of light up. Or my favorite one, when someone would say, "How you doing?" I'd be like, if I was any better, I'd be you, So it's, you just brighten people's day, as opposed to, it's another day. Can't believe I'm here, like Eeyore. Thanks for noticing me. Don't worry about me. No one ever does. I loved Winnie the Pooh growing up when my kids were younger.
There you go.
Anyway, man, that's just great to be here.
Good. When you were talking there, it kind of reminded me of something that Zig Ziglar says. As many of you know, Zig Ziglar's had a huge influence on me. But Zig Ziglar, he used to, whenever he was out and about, whether he was walking or running or whatever, whenever he came in contact with somebody, he would say, "Good morning." No matter what time of day it was, he would say, "Good morning." And he said almost every time the other person would respond either with "good morning," or they would start it good, and then they'd stop and they go, "Hold on, it's not morning." and then he would go, "Then why did you start to say morning?" But his point was, people oftentimes respond in kind. If you respond in good morning, they're going to respond good morning, or at least begin to. If you respond in a positive, hopeful way, typically they will respond back in a positive, hopeful way. But just like you said, Joe, if we approach them in a negative way, well, then they're more likely to respond to us in a negative way. People tend to respond in kind, and so we have the opportunity to set the thermostat with the way that we approach people. So I love it. I love it. Hey guys, we as Joe said earlier, we do have a special guest with us tonight. He has been with us before. I think it's been maybe a year and a half, possibly 2 years ago, that he was with us and shared with us. And let me just tell you, we have probably gotten more positive comments over this guest, and we've had several guests over the period of time that we've had this, but we've probably had more positive comments from this guest than anybody else. They really appreciated what he had to say and what he had to share, and so we decided it'd be a great time to have him back, to be able to share with us and maybe catch up with him a little bit and see what's going on in his life. So, guys, I want to introduce to you again here on ToJo Live our special guest, Greg Horn. Woo! How's it going, Greg?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me back. What an honor. That's the ultimate compliment when you get invited back somewhere. When you get invited back, sometimes you think, I must not have been that good. Must have put some people to sleep. So what a compliment. Other than you and Joe still have too much hair, it's great to be back with you guys.
Not following Greg's example.
Hey Greg,
maybe next.
No, Tommy, I was going to.
We'll both shave our heads.
Greg, I was saying on our Father's Day sermon a few weeks back how God knew you so well He can count every hair on your head. And for you that'd be real easy. I was gonna.
Well, God made a few heads perfect, and the rest He put hair on them, right?
Amen, Brian. Amen.
Woo!
Hey, Greg, do you want me to take Joe off the screen? Because I find an odd pleasure in that.
Yeah. I think Joe's a little overrated. Let's kind of minimize him. In Jesus' name, of course.
There you go. Oh, man, it's great. It's great. Well, Greg, man, it's great having you back on the show. And like I said, the last time, people really enjoyed having you with us. Although we have some viewers now that possibly were not viewing back then. And so maybe you could just introduce us to Greg Horn again, share a little bit of your story, and just tell us who is Greg Horn.
Well, like I said, it's a real treat and honor to be back with you guys again here in Lexington, Kentucky, where it was a smoldering 96 degrees today. And we, unlike you all, we don't have the ocean nearby or anything. But life's been going really well. I am the executive director of Hope is Here Ministries. And I started this ministry about 5 years ago. And I did it because I had 3 friends in an 18-month period that decided to end their lives prematurely by suicide. And I had been there at one moment in my life. And thankfully, just because of my faith, friends, family, I never got to that point, but I know what it's like to lose hope. And the reason I started this radio program, this ministry, is because I found through research, and I've been in ministry about 20 years now, that the number one reason people decide to check out of life and end their lives prematurely is because they lose hope. Yeah. And I've been fortunate to have a lot of successes, both personally and professionally, but I've also had my fair share of failures personally and professionally. I've done everything from being a college basketball coach, an entrepreneur, a college professor, and a pastor. I know it's like to almost be a millionaire, to go in $2 million in debt overnight. I know what it's like to be married, but to be told a few years later, hey, I don't love you anymore, and I'm leaving you for somebody else. I know what it's like to coach in Rupp Arena in front of 23,000 people. And I know what it's like to be invited to speak somewhere and there only be 3 people there, and they had to be there. So, and I know what it's like to walk in the beach in Hawaii, but I also know what it's like to order a pizza and then realize I don't have $7 and I couldn't find enough loose change in my couch to pay for the pizza and had to cancel that. I know what it's like to be in a John Maxwell book and think, wow, man, this could be a turning point in my life. And yet I know what it's also like to stand in front of a federal judge and have to file bankruptcy. And I have found out when God's all you've got, God is all you need. And I've also found out that there's always something to be thankful for.
Yeah. Wow.
Beautiful.
That's powerful, Greg. And listen, man, I appreciate your ministry and the things that you do. I don't get to listen to every one of your shows, but I listen to a lot of them, and the guests that you have on there are just they have amazing stories.
Oh, I get to listen to all of them.
Tammy gets to listen to all of them. Of course, she's she works with you, obviously. And some of you may not know that, but Tammy works with Greg and putting together the information to be able to share with the world that gives us hope. That gives us hope. And your story is powerful. The stories of those that you interview and that you feature on your show, it's both on radio and a podcast. That you could go and we may have you share that information here in a minute of how to get to that, so to be able to listen to some of those shows. And here's the cool thing about the shows is they're to the point. I think they're like 15-minute shows.
14,
Is that 14-minute shows, and sometimes they're in multiple parts. But within that 14 minutes, you just really get to the point of whoever you're interviewing or the theme that happens to be for that show, but it's all around this concept of hope. And of course, many people may realize by now, that's the reason I use that verse and that quote as we were opening the show, is because, it all comes back down to that hope. As Greg said, one of, if not the biggest cause of people thinking about suicide is a loss of hope. So Greg, man, I appreciate all that you do and everything. Could you share with us a little bit about your show, and then maybe share with us also how to be able to listen to your show as well?
Absolutely. Well, before I share about that, I do want to preface that, Tammy, one of the reasons she listens to all my programs, besides she gets paid to do it, also she said it helps put her to sleep at night. So,
No.
So if you're having problems sleeping, hey, turn into Hope is Here. And we'll even burp you before we put you to bed and turn out the lights.
I love it.
No, I found that, some of the programs that have influenced me a lot were only 14 minutes long, and we all are so busy, but I think everybody's got 14 minutes. And we have the radio program. We've been blessed. God has us on at 8:15 in the morning, Eastern time, and at lunchtime at 12:45 p.m. But a lot of people listen to the podcast of the program while they're getting ready in the morning. Know several guys that do that, because fortunately for us guys, most of the time we can get ready in about 14 minutes. And it's just one of those opportunities for people to be able to kind of get their spiritual tank filled, to give them a cup of hope to fill the day. You see the cups over my shoulder there. I'm a coffee guy. I love coffee. And one of my deals is when I go somewhere to travel, I get a coffee mug from that place there, because it fills my emotional mental cup of a good memory, a good time of traveling somewhere. And yet in the 24 hours we have each day, I find that our cups just get depleted very, very quickly. And the enemy loves to do that. We all know that John 10:10, Jesus said the enemy comes to steal and to kill and destroy. Yes. And obviously suicide is destroy. And he wants to take us out. And sometimes we say, I don't really believe in that evil stuff. Well, you need to, because the enemy is real. And he does want to steal your hopes, kill your dreams, and he wants to destroy your life. But I'm so thankful in the next breath, Jesus said, but, which means it canceled out all that was said before, but I have come so that you may have life and have it to the full. In other words, I'm going to help you get through no matter what life deals you, what cards you're dealt with. I'm going to help you play whatever hand you're dealt, and we'll get through it together. You don't have to do it alone. And I'm so thankful we have the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, 3 in 1. What a bonus as a Christian. When I had my grocery store, we used to do a lot of buy one, get one free sales. And man, people would just hoard them, man. I mean, it was unbelievable. Stuff like prune juice. I mean, are you serious? But they would do that because it was buy one, get one free. Well, Jesus said, I'm going to one up you. I'm going to give you 3 in 1. And
That's
yet
awesome.
I think as followers of Jesus, we don't take advantage of that third part of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit. And so for our program, if you're like, man, I want to check it out. I want to hear this short, fat, sexy, bald guy. I want to check him out. Okay. We've got a website, hopeishere.today. That's hopeishere.today. And it's kind of interesting. .com, .org, .net was not available, but .today was available.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, that's perfect, because all I'm trying to do is help give people hope for just one more day. Your life can change in a 24-hour period. And as the old saying goes, it's darkest sometimes right before the dawn. Or the Bible says, weeping endures for a night, but joy comes in the morning.
Yes.
And so we got to know that. If you like to do the podcast route, you can go, like I said, to the website, hopeishere.today, or we're on all the platforms that podcasts are on. We've been really blessed. We just went over 70,000 podcast downloads earlier this month. So the beautiful thing, we had a program last week where we had Heather Palacios from Florida that has a ministry called One Her Full, and it's based on mental health and trying to prevent suicide, because she struggled with suicide thoughts off and on throughout her life. And she's a follower of Jesus. And she made these things called a life box. And after we had the first program last Monday, the first 14-minute program, I woke up Tuesday morning, 6:30, checked, see if I have any messages. And I had a gentleman that sent me a message on our Hope is Here Facebook page, a private message that said, I just listened to that podcast, and I've lost hope, man. Life's beating me up, and man, I just need you to pray for me. Can you text with me, talk with me? I need one of those life boxes that Heather provides. I said, man, can you give me your address? And here's the amazing part, Tommy and Joe. His address, he was listening to the podcast in Auburn, Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we communicated. I got with Heather. She sent him a box out, priority mail. He got it 2 days later. And hopefully that guy's life's going to be saved for another 24-hour period till he can get enough hope in his cup to be able to battle every day.
Absolutely.
And we can actually attest to it. I asked for one of these boxes. Greg actually had one sent to us so that we know what's in them and that we can recommend them to people in our congregation. It came, we literally opened it, Greg, 10 minutes ago.
It came today.
It came today. We actually opened it tonight, and we looked through it, and our whole family, my son, my daughter, and the two of us all went through the box, and the resources that are in that is a power-packed punch coming in that little box.
Yep.
And it is a remarkable resource.
And those are absolutely free, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful. Greg, as you know, and all of us know, we have been through some crazy times over the past 2 years. It was March of 2020, a little over 2 years ago, when it seemed like our whole world shut down because of the coronavirus. In the midst of that, we had a lot of just violence and some riots, and now we've had school shootings, and inflation is taking place, and they're talking about the possibility, a strong possibility of recession come up. It just seems like there's no good news out there right now, and it seems like it's been that way for about 2 years. What is the effect of all this that have taken place over the past 2 years? What kind of effect does that have on the general public's emotional and mental health?
Well, it's really had a huge impact, Tommy. The rates of depression, anxiety, and unfortunately suicide attempts has increased greatly over the past 2 years. There's a lot of contributing factors. Number one, just because of the isolation, we had to be isolated. And, we can debate on how long that should have lasted and all that stuff. That doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people were already struggling when they got isolated and had to stay, especially people that live by themselves. The amazing part, and I'm one of those people, 46% of our population is either single by choice, divorced, or widowed. So that means if you're standing in the checkout line at the grocery store, either the person in front of you or the person behind you is in that category. And
Right.
So when we had to be isolated for several weeks, months, even in lots of months in some areas, then, those four walls start to creep in. And a lot of people might have not been struggling very much, but if they were struggling any at all, what became something very small became a mountain in their life with depression and anxiety and hopelessness. Then obviously the economic factors that happen with, a lot of people losing their jobs. So you lose community, you lose economic support, and you've got a mess on your hands. And unfortunately, researchers are saying that they think that the effect of this is going to last for maybe close to a decade. Years to come because of all this isolation and all the just trauma mentally and emotionally for so many people. And then I think the biggest thing, Tommy, is just my personal opinion as a minister for 20 years now, is that I think we got a good reality check that, we really don't have quite as much control as we think we do.
Right.
And, a lot of times, I know you've heard this, Tommy, and you too, Joe, that, sometimes life's going pretty good and we kind of develop an ego, EGO, edging God out. Yeah. And I think if we're honest, most of us had done that. But boy, when COVID hit, we really realized that, I really don't have as much control of this deal as I thought I did, number one. But on the positive side, for a lot of people, it was a wake-up call that you don't have as much control, number one. But number two, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that their lives are ending because of COVID. And, what's going to happen when I take my last breath? Is this it for me? What am I going to do when I do stand before God? Do I believe that there's a God? So on the positive side, it gave us a good reality check to kind of think about where are we going to spend eternity when we do take our last breath? Because as we all know, this is only temporary.
Right. Yeah.
That's a really, really good point. I read an article just this past week in one of the local papers here that, teen suicides were up pretty dramatically in the last couple of years. And I suspect, as you said, that had to do with some isolation, but it also talked about bullying and just things that I wasn't real familiar with. And I'm just curious if you've seen that yourself from the teenage, the school children and so forth. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you said, I just echo those things, from bullying, the isolation. Obviously, social media is so big, and whether you're 10 years old or you're 60 years old, you can get into the compare game. And on social media, of course, everybody puts their best foot forward and living their best life. Yet we all know that's the highlight reel of people's lives. It's not the real life. And yet kids start seeing that and think, well, man, I don't have this, I don't have that. Some people have friends, they were showing they're having a good time. All these kids are isolated. And I just thought, man, it may never get better than this for me. And then Satan starts creeping in. Maybe you might just be better off if, you weren't alive anymore. And it's just so sad. But the enemy starts as early as he can to plant those seeds of doubt and that, your life's really not worth much. And so it's really been detrimental to a lot of young people.
Yeah. Wow. It seems at least that at least the worst part of what we were going through with the pandemic has passed. Now I'm a little cautious in saying that because we never know what's going to happen right around the corner. But it kind of seems that way, that we're getting back to, and I don't even like using this word, but I don't know what other word to use, getting back to something close to normal or something similar to what we had before, although I don't think we'll ever be completely back to what it was before. But as we do that, as we're getting back into maybe leaving our homes to go back into our jobs, we're not having as many restrictions as we used to have and stuff like that. Yet we're still dealing with some of the aftermath emotionally and mentally from all of this as we head into here the summer of 2022. What are some steps for some healthy mental health this summer? What can we do?
Well, I think the number one thing is to be in community. I
That's
know,
powerful.
hey, Greg, Captain Obvious, but no, it's not. I mean, we live in a culture that says, oh, it's about you and checking off your list of things to do. And yet we got
Well,
We lost Greg.
He's back.
for us.
Now he's back.
oh, there he is. He's back.
We lost you for a second. You went off the screen, but you're back now. So,
And you didn't even make me mad or anything. But I can't see the top of your head, so you might want to adjust your camera just a little bit. We want to show off that bald head of yours. Come on, Greg.
There
we
you go.
go.
so if you could think back maybe a couple of sentences to what you were saying, and just kind of go back and start from there.
Yeah, I was born at night, but not last night. I know if Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So I know better. I'm not gonna poke Mama Bear. I know better. So, but I think community. The number one thing is we have to have community. Summertime, the weather's great. Get out, even if you're like me and that 46% of the population that's either single, divorced, or widowed, but be out and create community. Go do your work. If you work from home, go do it in a coffee house. Be around other people. Make eye contact with other people and smile. Say, hi, how are you doing? The thing is, we were wearing maybe not physical masks before COVID, but a lot of people were wearing masks because they wouldn't say how they were really doing when people ask, hey, how are you doing? Now we've got rid of, thank goodness, for the physical mask and see people's facial expressions. And, Tommy, you're a communications expert. You know this, but 80% of communication is nonverbal.
Yeah.
And so, man, the mask just destroyed that. And so now that we have that smile, and sometimes you have to be intentional about that. And I know that I don't come by that naturally because I'm a type A. I got my list of things I need to get done. I want to get done. And yet I've had people ask me sometimes, hey, are you upset about something? I'm like, no, not at all. I'm doing great. Why? They go, well, gosh, tell your face because you look like you're mad. And I'm like, wow, thanks for letting me know. I need to smile more and just, stop and smell the road. But community's so big. And I know this will be Captain Obvious. And unfortunately, I'm not getting paid for this advertisement for Glen Cove Christian Church. But church attendance, man, for community church attendance. It's easy to watch online. I get it. And you know what? Those 6 weeks in Kentucky we were shut down, as a guy that usually only has 2 Sundays off a year out of 52, I ain't gonna lie to you. I loved it. It was awesome. Okay. As Dick Vitale says, it was awesome, baby. It was awesome. But you know what? God, there's a season, basketball doesn't go year round, but then I can't wait for it to start back up again in October.
There you go.
But my point being is that it's time to get back in community and get in the game. And watching it from your couch, watching home, that's not community. And God created us for that. So being community is my number one thing for good mental health. Church is definitely a part of it, but do other things to be in community. Second thing is being in God's word. Once again, well, of course, this is a church, but there's a lot of people, and I know I used to be one of them before God, when I went through the flood, bankruptcy, and divorce in 2001. I went to church on Sunday morning, and the other 167 hours was about Greg Horn. And yet, when I lost all that stuff, I said, you know what? I'm going to find out if my faith is real. All this stuff I've heard on Sunday mornings, all these radio programs, Chuck Swindoll, David Jeremiah, Charles Stanley, are these people, is this stuff really true? And I started reading the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. And I found out it really was truth, and my faith became real. And the best part is that I got Bible verses that are life verses for me now. Over 100 Psalms in the Bible, but Psalm 28:7 is one of my go-to verses now. It says, the Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in you, Lord, and I am helped. And that verse, I wrote it on a Post-it note. I put it in my bathroom mirror. I stuck it on my coffee pot, the dashboard of my car, on my laptop computer. And I was so weak going through that flood, bankruptcy, and divorce that the Lord had to be my strength and he had to be my shield. And I found out that he was, and he would be, and that he was enough. So for good mental health, get in God's word. He wants to help you have more strength. He wants to be your protector. He wants to be your provider. The third thing I would say, Tommy, for good mental health this summer is exercise. Get some exercise.
Yeah.
And I know somebody's, oh, no, brother, you meddling now. I'm not doing no exercise. Okay. All right. I don't care. You talk to me about Jesus. I get that, but don't talk about exercise. Well, here's the deal. I mean, research shows that if you get those endorphins going, it'll help your mental health. Just start with a 20-minute walk. Call a couple of friends. It'll fly by. You can make 2 phone calls and in 20 minutes. And that's one of the things in COVID that I started doing was a lot of walking to help my mental health. But I called a lot of people, and it really, really helps. So start somewhere. Just 20 minutes walking. Fourth one, drink more water. Got to stay hydrated, especially in the summer. And man, I'm a Diet Coke guy. I like Diet Coke. Every once in a while, I don't tell nobody, but I have to go through McDonald's. I'll say, give me a regular, not unleaded. Give me some regular. But you know what? I mean, man, that stuff's just not that good for you. And my studying shows that drink half your body weight in water. So in my case, unfortunately, I got to drink a little over 100 ounces. Just a little bit, but and so stay hydrated, drink water. This is one that I haven't done well, but boy, when I was walking through some deep seasons and deep valleys and struggling with some depression and anxiety, suicidal thoughts, is to journal, to write out my prayers, to be gut-wrenching honest with God and just tell him how you really feel. Being a follower of Jesus, it's not religion, it's relationship.
Yep.
And with the journal, man, that's when it's a relationship. And then the thing I also liked was going back later and looking as I was putting the broken pieces of my life back together, seeing how God answered so many prayers. And a lot of them I'd forgotten about, because Satan doesn't want you to remember those victories or those answered prayers. He just wants you to focus on the ones that you're waiting on answers. And journaling was a game changer for me. And I would encourage somebody to do that. Another thing, sometimes when your mental health you're really struggling, man, I don't know if I can do this. Reach out to your pastor. You got 2 wonderful guys here. You're blessed. You got a double blessing. Reach out to one of these guys, Tommy or Joe. Talk to them. If you're like, man, I can't. Then reach out to a Christian counselor, not just a counselor, a Christian counselor that combines both psychology and God's word. And then sometimes, and I had to do this myself, sometimes it also, maybe you should go get a physical. Go see the doctor and say, I'm really struggling with my mental health. And it might be a chemical imbalance in your body. And for about 6 months' time, I did have to take an antidepressant. But as I started exercising at least 20 minutes a day, eventually started doing some weights, started drinking more water, was in biblical community, and started reading my Bible and journaling, a little Christian therapy. It was amazing how I just kept getting healthier and healthier. And so go see the doctor and see. It might be something chemically, and just some medicine could change it for a season, or it might be for more than just 6 months like it was in my case. And then here's one that I have to be really intentional about, guys. But the Bible says a cheerful heart is medicine to the soul.
Yes.
And man, I really try. I have to be more intentional. I like to have fun, but I'm a busy type A, trying to get things done kind of person. And so I'm being intentional about watching funny things, old Seinfeld refunds, Jim Gaffigan, even some good old Andy Griffith shows, some good old school humor, watching those guys, but being really, really intentional about it. And last but not least, and this is one that I really had to be intentional about also, is getting more sleep. We like to brag like, man, I only get 6 hours of sleep tonight. I got things to do. Well, I've realized that God saying, Greg, you need more than that. And I can handle the world for an extra hour. And so I've been trying to be more intentional, get 7 hours. And it's a game changer, man, to give your body time to refresh and start the day. And so one of the best things maybe somebody watching tonight could do is just go to bed early. Go to bed earlier.
Right.
And one of the things I've been trying to do once a week is to turn my TV off, not watch the TV the whole night, not anything funny, not even any YouTube sermons or anything like that, and just do some reading and stay away from technology for about 3 hours and go to bed early. And it's amazing what a difference that's made in my one and only life. So those are just about 8 or 9 things that I really would encourage people to help them with I call it healthy mental health this summer.
I have an observation and a question that I want to ask my husband. Y'all are just going to listen in as I confront him on this.
The voice with no face.
When Greg is talking about a type A driven personality that likes to get things done, why were you shaking your head and looking at me over the top of your screen? I just want to know.
I think you're seeing things.
Yeah, I've got it on video.
Hey, listen, guys, those were some great tips. And listen, depending upon your personality, some of those come easy for you and others don't come so easy. They're all good. They're all healthy. And so I just encourage you to look at those and maybe don't get overwhelmed. Don't go, I don't know how many were they that you had? Were they about 8 or 9?
I had 9 of them.
Had 9 of them. Don't get overwhelmed with those and look at all 9 and go, wow, how am I going to do this? This is so much. Hey, whatever you're already doing, celebrate that. Try adding one more. Just try adding one more of those. Maybe, you're good at journaling and you drink a lot of water, but you don't get enough rest. Okay, great. Keep journaling, keep drinking your water, but be intentional about getting more rest. Go to bed early tonight, or maybe you get plenty of sleep, you get plenty of water, but you don't get into the word. Well, maybe start being more intentional about getting into the Bible and doing some of that journaling. I will tell you that journaling is an amazing thing that I do in spurts. I don't do it all the time. And I don't know. I don't necessarily make a conscious decision to say, okay, I'm going to stop journaling now. I just kind of drift out of it. And then after a while, I'm like, I need to start journaling again. And then when I do, it really is. I feel mentally and emotionally more stable when I do that. And one of the things that I do with my journaling as well is not only write out my prayers, but I also have a different section in my journal where I write down things I'm thankful for. And I'll write down at least 3 things when I'm doing it consistently. Every time I get into it, I write down at least 3 things that I'm thankful for. And it just helps me to focus on those things in the midst of all the things I want to complain about. What are those things in my life right now that I am thankful for? And when we stop and think about it, there's a lot. There's a lot that we can be thankful for, even in the midst of the chaos that is going on. So, Greg, thank you, man. Thank you for giving us those. Hey, something you shared with us the last time we talked with you, and when you did, I was like, Greg, that is powerful. That is it. That's got to be your signature presentation. That's eventually got to become a book, because this, I think, is your main message. You gave us an acronym of the word hope. Could you share with us that again? Because that was the most powerful thing I remember from the last time we talked.
Well, since Joe didn't write it down from last time, I will share it one more time, okay? No, thanks, Tommy. Yeah, I just felt like this is something God gave me. I was praying about, God, what is a simple way I can help people have hope, and was praying for a while about it. And then one day I felt like God gave me this. And then we were very fortunate in Lexington. We actually have one of the top suicidologists, which I didn't even know this existed until I started this ministry called Hope is Here. And I was able to have lunch with her, and I just shared what this acronym was. And it says, does this line up with your scientific and educational research that you have your doctorate in? And she looked at it and she goes, oh my goodness. She goes, absolutely. She goes, you need to patent this. And she kind of winked at me like, if you don't do it soon, I might patent it. And so I was very thankful, very humble that she did it, but I really did feel like it was from God. And I'm simple, guys. So the word hope, the letter H is simply hold on. Hold on. The enemy wants you to give up, but I'm telling you, if you'll just hang on, say, I'm going to hold on for 24 more hours, God, just to see if somebody will speak to me, somebody will call me, text me. You never know what God will do in 24 hours. And one of my favorite Bible verses that kind of lines up with this letter H is Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 and 23, that says, God's mercies are afresh. They're new every morning. And great is God's faithfulness. And I'm so thankful, Tommy and Joe, that in God's infinite wisdom that he said, you know what? I know that sometimes life can get overwhelming, so I'm going to break it down to 24-hour segments for my children so that when they have a bad 24, they can say, you know what? I'm going to get a fresh 24 the next day and do that and see what God wants to do. And I think one of the things that I'm learning about that holding on that next morning, and Tommy, you already alluded to this, but I was kind of walking in a valley about a year ago myself. And I thought, what would I tell somebody else if they, knew what I was kind of going through in my life? And I would say, you know what, start praising God, giving thanks to God. So what I started forcing myself to do was two things. One, Psalm 118, verse 24. This is the day the Lord has made. I shall be glad and rejoice in it. And my mom used to come in and wake me up as a middle schooler and pull the shade up and say, this is the day the Lord has made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it, like Tammy Lanham. And you know what? I didn't like it, and I didn't love God very much at that middle school age. Forgive me, Lord, okay? And it proves that God can use anybody if he put me in ministry. But you know what? I can quote that verse without looking at it anymore because I heard my mama say it almost every day for about 3 or 4 years. And you know what? That verse is true. And even though I don't feel like rejoicing when that alarm goes off early in the morning, I say that out loud. And then I roll over and I get on my knees. And maybe you can't do that physically, so just do it while you're laying in your bed. But I'm fortunate I'm able to still do that. And I get on my knees and I thank God for 5 things I'm thankful for. And it could be as simple as, thank you, God, that I'm getting ready to have a cup of coffee, that I've got coffee to drink. Thank you, God, that I can get out of bed. A friend I graduated from high school with, I'm a young guy. She started losing her eyesight about 6 months ago, and she's lost like 80% of her vision. And so quite often, I just thank God for my eyesight. Thank him in the winter, my shelter. I've got food to eat, family, friends. I mean, you can go on and on, but I also thank him if I've got appointments. Like I thanked him this morning for this opportunity that I was going to be with you guys here tonight. And it just gets my heart in the right place when I start off thankful that first thing in the morning. The letter O is open up to at least one other person. Open up to at least one other person. One of the things the enemy loves to do is keep us isolated and keep our burdens inside. 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast your burdens upon the Lord because he cares for you. And I'm so thankful to know that he also wants me to cast my cares. And the Bible says to bear your burdens with one another. And I'm so thankful for that also. But just open up to at least one person. And maybe you're like, I don't have anybody. And if you don't, there's a number 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK, TALK, or it's 8255. And everybody needs to put that in their phone. I've got it in my phone. I have it memorized because it's so important to me. There's somebody available 24 hours a day. Obviously, you can talk to God, but if you're like, I need to talk to a physical, I want to talk to a person, hear the voice, call that number. Reach out to at least one other person and let them know, hey, man, I'm really, really hurting. And then the letter P is to put yourself in a new environment. Put yourself in a new environment. I talked about this earlier, but one of the things that I'm doing, I work out of my house a lot with the ministry and things, but I'll go and do work at different coffee houses, and go to Panera and go to Starbucks sometimes. I love local coffee shops, try to support locally owned businesses. Spend $3 on a cup of coffee. Sorry, it's a lot cheaper in Kentucky, guys, but and do work for 3 hours, and yet I've got to build some relationships and community within that. Try to go work out, start a new workout class. I did that. Just put yourself in a new environment. Toastmasters. When I went through the flood, bankruptcy, and divorce, it's kind of the way that Tommy and I got to know each other through our good friend Tom Haley. Do something. Put yourself in a new environment, even if it's driving or walking a different way to work. Do something different to shake up your routine and get out of that funk that you're in mentally and emotionally. And last but not least, is just expect to see changes. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier about Psalm 118:24. This is the day the Lord has made. I shall be glad and rejoice in it. And just praising God and thanking God that I'm going to have something to rejoice in that day, even though I may not feel like it. I may not even see it right now, but we all know that life can change for the good, sometimes unfortunately for the bad, in just one phone call, one text, one email. I mean, when I got the invite to do this, honestly, I was having a bad day, but when I got the text from Tammy, said, "Hey, could you be on ToJo?" And I was like, yes, man, I love hanging out with those guys. We had a great time a year and a half. As long as we keep Tammy on mute, it's a great program.
Oh, hold on. Do you know?
No, don't mute him. Don't mute him.
I can hide him. I can mute him. Greg, you better be nice to me. You know what's funny? If you could see my end of it on my staging area, where there is a hide button. Do you see it, Tommy?
Oh, there's no hide button.
Greg, what did you do?
Ooh, Greg, go ahead and say whatever you want to, man. Your hide button is gone.
But I can still hide you.
I've said way too much already.
That's all right, Greg. We have our staff meeting tomorrow. We'll talk.
Yeah. I don't expect a third time, so I'm going to get everything I got tonight.
Man, I love that acronym, and I think it's powerful. And the reason I wanted you to share that is for all of our viewers that watch this. We never know what people are going through. Like you said earlier, we wear masks, and when we see people, they're smiling and everything is fine and stuff like that. But it doesn't always mean that everything is fine, because below the surface, they may be hurting. And to hear this acronym of the word hope, and I just want to summarize here. H is hold on. O is open up to somebody. P is put yourself in a new environment. It literally affects your brain chemistry in a positive way. And then E, expect to see changes. Sometimes we lose hope because we feel like nothing's ever going to change. Everything's always going to be horrible, which isn't true. But it's hard to convince ourselves of that when we are in the midst of the pain. And so remembering that, expect to see changes in that. And I love that. I think that's a good thing, maybe to print out and put on your refrigerator or on the dash of your car or something like that, or on your mirror in the bathroom, somewhere where we are reminded of that every day. Greg, I know you've talked about your faith and the power of God working in you. What is the connection between hope and having faith in Jesus?
Well, for me personally, one of the things that I think is interesting is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13 says, "And these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." But I do a lot of weddings as a minister here for the past 20 years, and you use that a lot at weddings. We call it the love chapter. But as I've been pondering over that verse a lot over the past year, to me, it's kind of interesting. You've got faith, hope, and love, but hope's in the middle. And I think it's hard to have faith. I think it's hard to love other people without hope. And, there's a lot of things that are overrated in life. Somebody tells you about a new movie and you check it out, watch it, and you're like, that wasn't very good. Unless it's Top Gun Maverick. That was excellent, by the way.
Oh,
Okay.
no
We haven't seen it yet.
No
We want to.
spoilers.
We haven't seen it yet.
No.
I saw it. It was fantastic.
Oh.
You like it, Joe?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So, but most movies are overrated. Or somebody says, oh man, that's a great restaurant in town, you need to go check it out. And you go and you're like, that was overrated. But one of the things I know in life that's not overrated is hope. And Hal Lindsey had the great quote that, somebody can live 40 days without food, about 8 hours without oxygen. 8 hours, 8 days without water, and only 3 minutes without air, but only 1 second without hope. Yeah. And so I just think hope is so important to have your faith. If you don't have faith, though, you can't have hope, because if you got hope in yourself, that's just not going to work. We've all been there, and you realize that, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen, or a flood's going to happen like it did in my case. And it didn't happen on Walmart's side of the street, who has, 10,000 stores. It just happened on my side of the street. And yet, I found out that when my faith became real, and that's where my hope is now. It's in my personal relationship in Jesus. It's not in me. It's not in a religion. My hope is in a relationship with our Creator, the one that gave each of us breath this morning. And his name is Jesus Christ. And Hebrews 13:8 during the pandemic was kind of one of my go-to verses. It simply says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Amen. And it's just that great reminder that Jesus was with me in the past. Jesus is with me today, and he's going to be with me in the future. So that's kind of how I like to parallel hope and faith.
Amen.
That is awesome.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Love it. So tell us, Greg, what is ahead for you, man? You've done a lot over the past, I think you said 5 years you've been doing Hope is Here. You've got your own radio show, your own podcast. You're changing people's lives. I know you recently got on TikTok, and you're making an impact there as well. What is ahead for Greg Horn? What's on the horizon?
Well, one of the things that I've learned over the past year is just trying to be patient. I'm trying to listen. Obviously, normally I'll be like, oh, Tommy, we're going to do this. And I'd like to say, we're going to expand to other radio stations and other markets. And I'm definitely pondering that. But it was kind of interesting. My digital communications specialist, Tammy Lanham, kept staying on me for about 6 months. I mean, she was all over me like a polyester suit, man. I mean, my goodness. On a hot summer day, my goodness, you need to do this TikTok. You need to do this TikTok. And I was just like, I ain't doing no TikTok. And, that's Kentucky English there for you. And so, but I do have great respect and appreciation for Tammy. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm praying about it. And I was. And then one morning in early May, I was having my devotion, and I just felt like the Lord said, it's time for you to share this. And I want you to call it Cup of Hope. And I went out and did it 1 minute, posted on my personal Facebook page, and it just blew up. I sent it to my digital communications specialist, one, so she'd get off my back. And secondly, but the Lord, the reason I'm sharing the story is that one of the things I'm learning, you say, what's next for me? I'm just trying to listen. Henry Blackaby, I know you like him, Tommy, and the Experiencing God Bible study. So many times we ask God to bless what we're doing and what we want to do. But, one of those 7 realities of experiencing God is to look where God's working and to join him in it.
Yeah. And
so that's been kind of my mantra this year. And that goes against the way I'm wired up. But God, I'm learning, Greg, just slow down, be still, and know that I'm God. I've got it. I'm not in a hurry. Okay. I'm in the crock pot business, not in the microwave business.
There you go.
Okay. It tastes a lot better when it comes out of the crock pot than it does at 3 minutes in the microwave.
Yes.
And just wait, my brother. I got something good for you, but patience, grasshopper, patience. And so when you ask me, what does that look like next? Tommy, I don't say it ashamedly. I think about it and I dream it, but I just keep asking God, what's next? What do you want me to do next? Because I just find it just works better for me. And I know that's not what our culture says. And trust me, I'm not about being lazy, but I also realize that instead of doing more things with God, I need to be spending more time with God. So, as the old saying goes, I don't know what the future holds, but I do know who holds the future.
There you go.
And I'm gonna keep that great connection with him and be quick to listen and slow to speak and let him speak to me, just like he did in early May with this 1 minute cup of hope.
Yeah.
And you know what? It just works out better that way.
Awesome.
Speaking of 1 minute cup of hope, there you go. You can find it at on TikTok. Search for Hope is Here Lex, Lex. Hope is Here Lex, all one word. And go and like it and subscribe it and do the whole following thing. All the TikTok stuff. Do it.
Greg, this looks kind of cool. We've got your face on both screens here beside each other.
Double your trouble, baby.
It's a Joe sandwich.
It's a Joe sandwich.
No, I was going to say put him in the middle. It'll be like, what is that, like a slot machine or something? It'll be.
We get 3 Gregs, you win a prize. You ever feel beside yourself, Greg?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
I do have to tell you a funny story, though. There's a guy that has been liking the cups of hope. I mean, he's been just, man, these are amazing. I'm sharing them with people and stuff. Well, I had this friend of mine that I used to go to high school with. She lives in Florida. And she said, this guy, man, I've noticed every day he's making comments and he looked familiar. So I looked on his Facebook page. She goes, have you been to his Facebook page? And I said, no. She goes, you need to go. So I went to it. There's like 3 or 4 pornographic pictures on his Facebook page, along with Cup of Hope, baby.
Oh, wow. There you go, man.
I love it.
That is awesome.
I love it.
But here's the best thing about it is he was tagged in all those pictures, like him and 90 others. So he has no idea. And so I sent him a message. So now he knows, but just, it's kind of that reminder that, sometimes we don't know what's going on and somebody has to give us a heads up. And so I was able to do that, but that all happened with Cup of Hope, or he wouldn't know it. And then I had a lady today that just posted on the page and said, Greg, I'm far from a Christian, but I really like that message today.
Wow.
And that's what it's about to me, is that, I'm not trying to preach to people. I'm trying to teach them and just show them, that Jesus loves them and there's always hope because of him. And so, man, I'm just thankful for 1 minute cup of hope, and thankful that my digital communications specialist was like a polyester suit on me.
That's awesome.
Maybe next time you'll listen before it takes 6 months. Ask Tommy how long I've been trying to get him on TikTok. Go ahead.
I am up. I haven't posted anything. I've got me an account now. And I do follow Cup of Hope as well as a few others, but I am getting ready to make that leap as well, because Tammy has been on me like that as well. And the difference is that I see her in every room I walk in my house. So Greg, just about a minute or less. Is there any just last bit of advice you would like to share with our viewers here this evening?
Yeah, I think, Tommy, the one thing I'm really learning over the past year, don't play the compare game. Don't compare the game, comparing your life to other people. One of two things always happens. Either one, if you quote in whatever measuring stick you use, you're doing a little bit better than them, then pride sets in. Or if whatever measuring stick you use, you're not doing as well in, then self-pity comes in. Yep. And to be honest with you, I think that, I know neither one is God honoring, either being, prideful or being in self-pity. But here's what I would say in closing, okay? Don't play the compare game. Just simply bloom where you're planted.
I love
Just
it.
bloom where you're planted, and you'll be amazed what God can do.
Yeah. All right, Greg, man, we greatly appreciate that. Joe, you got any last words for us as we close up here, my friend?
Greg, when we first met a year and a half ago, it was great to meet you. This was even better, man. I just hope one day we're going to meet face to face in real life, and I'm going to give you a hug, because words of wisdom tonight, brother. It's so great having you on here, and I know our listeners are going to be able to take something away that's going to have them and allow them to have more hope. God bless you, brother.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to put Greg on the spot. We got just a few seconds left, so he can't talk after this. So, but Greg is working on that book. We have started on that book, and I know. Look at him laughing. He's kind of hit a pause for a moment. But Greg, you've heard the encouragement tonight, and you know that God is wanting you to finish his book. So we're go ahead, Tommy. Give him some encouragement on finishing this book or going to the next steps.
I tell you what, Greg. Here's the deal. Joe, he popped off again.
Where did he
Go?
Keep going.
He'll be back.
Greg, if you can still hear me, here's the deal. Once you get that book written and published and released, we're going to have you come up here and speak. Okay, we'll have you maybe speak at our leadership retreat that we have in November, and then possibly even that Sunday morning, because leadership retreat takes a lot out of me, and be nice not have to preach on that Sunday
There
morning.
you go.
But I think you've got a message for both the general congregation as well as our leadership. And so you get that book done, we're going to have you up, okay, to share your story as well as your book with us. Man, we're glad to have Greg on here with us tonight. It's been a beautiful night. I hope it's been beneficial to you. Hey, hold on to that HOPE acronym, okay? That is an amazing acronym. I want to run through it one more time. Hold on, open up, put yourself in a new environment, and expect to see changes. We love you guys. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you for joining us.